Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror on an ordinary morning and asked yourself, why do I look so tired, even though I slept well last night? Why do my eyes and my smile still feel like me, but something just seems off? I've felt that way too. I used to think it was just time catching up with me. That it was age, fine lines, a little wear and tear from life. But then, one day, I made a small change. I got a new haircut. Softer, lighter, simpler. And something amazing happened. People started asking me, "Did you just get back from a vacation? You look so refreshed. What's your secret?" No one thought it was the hair. But I knew. That simple change completely transformed how I saw myself. And how the world saw me. Because hair isn't just hair. It's energy. It's a story. It's how you show up in the world every single day. After 50, we're no longer chasing trends. We're choosing what truly works for us. A hairstyle that doesn't just look good, but reflects the incredible woman we are right now. So today I want to share with you 10 common hair mistakes that are quietly making women look older. And more importantly, simple changes that can bring back your glow without chasing your younger self. Not to look 20 again, but to feel radiant, confident, and fully yourself. Are you ready? Let's begin this journey of renewal, starting with your hair. Your hair is telling a story. Is it the right one? Let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I met a woman at a dinner party. She had this gentle warmth about her, the kind that makes you want to sit next to her and ask about her life. But something felt a little out of sync. Her hair was thick, jet black, teased high on the crown, with sharp layers that reminded me of a magazine cover from the late 80s. It wasn't bad, not at all. But it didn't quite match the calm, grounded, radiant woman she clearly was today. Later that evening, she laughed and said, "I've had this haircut since I was 32. It just kind of stayed with me." And that's when it hit me. Our hair tells a story. Whether we mean it to or not. Sometimes it says, "I haven't changed in years, and I'm afraid to start now." Other times, it says, "I'm doing what I've always done, even if it no longer fits." But the most beautiful story is when your hair quietly reflects who you are right now, not who you used to be, not who you think you should be, but who you've grown into. You see, after 50, we don't need our hair to make bold statements or follow every trend. We just want it to feel right. We want it to soften our face, match our energy, and move with us, not work against us. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't finding the right style. It's letting go of the old one. The one we kept because it once gave us confidence, or made us feel seen, or reminded us of a younger version of ourselves we weren't quite ready to say goodbye to. But here's the lesson. You don't have to hold on to what once worked just because it's familiar. You get to choose again. And your new choice? It can be gentle. It can be simple. And it can still be you, just updated, just right, just now. So let's begin. Let's look at the first and perhaps most common mistake that so many women make without realizing it, especially when we're trying to make our hair look fuller or more alive. Let's talk about overlayering, when texture turns into trouble. The danger of overlayering, when texture turns into trouble. A few months ago, a lovely woman named Carol came into my salon. She was in her early 60s, full of life, with bright eyes and the kind of laughter that fills a room. But her hair? It was struggling. She told me she'd asked for lots of layers because she wanted volume. "I thought it would make me look younger," she said. But what she got instead was a daily battle. Her hair flipped out in odd places, stuck out in angles she never intended, and refused to fall into anything that resembled a style. She spent 45 minutes every morning with a round brush, blow dryer, 2 styling creams, and still ended up tying it back by lunchtime. Here's the truth, layers can be beautiful. When done right, they add shape, softness, and even make thinning hair appear fuller. But too many layers, especially short, choppy ones, can do the opposite. They break up the natural flow of your hair, create flyaways, and add a kind of visual noise around your face that draws attention away from your best features. Instead of soft volume, you get uneven poof. Instead of face-framing movement, you get chaos. And here's something many don't realize. As we age, our hair changes texture. It often becomes finer, drier, and more unpredictable. So what worked in your 30s might now work against you in your 50s and beyond. In Carol's case, the layers had taken away too much weight, especially at the bottom, so her hair looked thinner, not thicker. And worst of all, the layers didn't match her lifestyle. "I don't have time to fight with my hair every day," she said. And you shouldn't have to. The lesson here is simple. If your haircut demands more energy than it gives, it's probably the wrong one. A great cut should fall into place with you, not fight for control every morning. It should flatter your features, match your hair's natural behavior, and most of all, feel like an ally, not a chore. So what did we do for Carol? We softened the layers, trimmed the shortest ones around her face, and gave her a cut that moved naturally, even with just a little finger combing and a smile. She walked out with her head held high, hair grazing her shoulders like a gentle frame, no round brush required. Now, speaking of frames. There's one frame many women cling to because they think it brings back boldness and confidence. But instead, it might be doing the opposite, highlighting every line we'd rather soften. Let's talk about color. And more specifically, the jet black trap. The jet black trap, when dark gets too heavy. A few weeks ago, I had coffee with a woman named Denise. She's 58, works in publishing, sharp as a tack, and always beautifully put together. Her clothes were soft neutrals, her makeup just a touch of rose on the cheeks, and then there was her hair. Jet black. Solid, glossy, almost inky, the kind of black that doesn't occur in nature past a certain age. And you know what? It wasn't bad. But something felt off. It was as if her hair was telling a story her face had outgrown. Denise told me she'd been dyeing her hair black since her 20s. It always made me feel strong. Polished. In control, she said. But lately, she admitted, she didn't feel seen. People keep asking if I'm tired, even when I'm not. I look stern in photos. Not myself. Here's what's really happening, and it's something no one tells you at the salon. As we age, our skin tone softens. We lose that natural flush in our cheeks, our undertones shift slightly, and the contrast between our skin and our hair becomes more delicate. Jet black, on the other hand, stays bold. It creates a harsh contrast that can exaggerate lines, shadows, and uneven tones. What once looked powerful in our 30s can suddenly feel too severe in our 50s. And that's not all. Black dye flattens light. It absorbs it, rather than reflecting, which means your hair can look heavy, dull, or stiff, especially if it's already thinning or dry. Plus, let's not forget the upkeep. With jet black, even the tiniest bit of gray at the roots stands out like a spotlight. It demands constant maintenance, every 2 or 3 weeks, or you're walking around with a harsh white line across your scalp. So what did Denise do? She didn't go blonde. She didn't go gray overnight. We simply lightened her base a shade or two, into a rich, soft espresso, and added some caramel and chestnut highlights around her face. The change wasn't drastic, but the effect? Instant. Her skin looked warmer. Her eyes brighter. Her expression softer. And the best part? People keep telling me I look rested, she said, laughing. Like I just got back from a spa weekend. The lesson here is this. You don't have to give up dark hair. But it should evolve with you. A little softness. A little warmth. A little light, That's often all it takes to reflect who you are now, instead of who you used to be. And while color plays a huge part in how we feel, so does shape. Because even the most beautiful shade won't help if the structure of your hair feels stuck in the past. Let's talk about that next. You know, the one, big, bold, over-teased hair that once made you feel glamorous, but now might be quietly aging you every single day. Big hair, big mistake. Why over-teasing ages you? I still remember my Aunt Lorraine's vanity table. On it sat a row of hairbrushes, a can of aqua net that never seemed to run out, and her teasing comb, worn, beloved, and used every single morning like clockwork. She'd stand there, backcombing section after section, building volume at the crown until her hair stood like a monument. And back in the day, it was fabulous. Big hair was elegance. It meant glamour, presence, effort. But when I saw her a few years ago at a family reunion, still wearing that same sky-high style, something felt frozen. Her clothes had changed. Her makeup had softened. But her hair, stiff, tall, sprayed into place, didn't match the warmth in her eyes or the softness in her laugh. It was like a photo from 1982, somehow still walking around in 2025. Here's the thing, volume isn't the problem. Outdated volume is. As we age, our features change, our jawlines soften, our cheeks lose some fullness, and the lines on our face tell more of our story. Big, teased hair can exaggerate those changes in all the wrong ways. It pulls the eye upward unnaturally, can make the face appear smaller or more angular, and worst of all, it doesn't move. It sits. It stiffens. It hardens the energy of your whole look. And let's not forget the damage it causes. Years of teasing and spraying can lead to breakage, especially on finer or thinning hair, which, let's be honest, most of us deal with after 50. What started as an attempt to add life to our hair ends up making it look more tired, more fragile, more forced. So how do we fix it? You don't have to give up volume. But it's time to reimagine it. Think soft lift instead of hard height. Think movement instead of stiffness. Use a gentle root lifting spray or a light mousse. Embrace styles that flow, that respond to your natural texture, that catch the light when you walk, that breathe. I helped Aunt Lorraine with that, actually. We trimmed the height, added soft layers around her face, and let her natural silver shine. Now, when she walks into a room, she looks like now. And her smile? It's even bigger than her hair used to be. The lesson? Let your hair evolve, just like you have. There's strength in softness. Confidence in movement. And sometimes, the boldest thing you can do is let go of what once worked, and choose what works today. Now, not everyone wants to go short, and you don't have to. But what if there were a way to keep some length, add texture, and still feel light, current, and effortless? Up next, we'll explore one of the most universally flattering cuts for women over 50, the textured lob. You just might fall in love with your hair all over again. The wrong bangs can wreck your look, and how to choose the right ones. If you've ever had a bad bang cut, you probably still remember it. I sure do. Mine happened when I was 16, thick, blunt, straight across my forehead like a helmet. I looked like I was auditioning for a role in a school play set in 1963. And the worst part? It took almost a year to grow out. I swore I'd never get bangs again. That is, until I met Susan. Susan is 54, soft-spoken, effortlessly stylish, the kind of woman who makes you feel calm just being near her. She came in for a haircut and said, "I want a change, but I don't want to go short." Her hair was shoulder-length, fine, with a bit of natural wave, and she had always worn it swept back, exposing her forehead completely. But lately, she said, "I feel like my face looks harsher than it used to. I don't know why." We talked for a while, and then I suggested something small. "Have you ever thought about curtain bangs?" She looked at me like I just asked her to jump out of a plane. Bangs? At my age? Absolutely not. I smiled and said, not those bangs. Let me show you something different. Here's what a lot of women don't realize. Bangs, when done right, don't hide your face, they frame it. The key is choosing the right kind for your face shape, your lifestyle, and your hair texture. Blunt bangs can be severe. Baby bangs can be risky. But curtain bangs? They're soft, versatile, and incredibly flattering, especially after 50. They gently part down the middle or slightly off to the side, creating a natural drape that draws attention to your eyes, lifts the cheekbones, and softens the entire face. They blur forehead lines without completely covering them. And the best part? If you decide they're not for you, they grow out gracefully. With Susan, we added light curtain bangs that blended into soft face framing layers. She didn't need more makeup. She didn't need a new wardrobe. But when she saw herself in the mirror, she whispered, "I feel like me again. Just a little lighter." And that's the magic of the right fringe. It's not dramatic. It's not trendy. It's a whisper of youth, not because it makes you look younger, but because it makes you feel more alive. The lesson here. Bangs don't have to be bold. They just have to be you. Choose softness. Choose movement. Choose the kind of shape that brings focus to your best features, not the ones you're trying to hide. And speaking of softness, there's a way to carry that same idea, lightness, movement, effortlessness, throughout your whole cut. Not everyone wants to go short. Not everyone wants bangs. But almost everyone wants a style that feels easy, flattering, and modern. So let's talk about a cut that checks all those boxes, and might just be the most loved haircut for women over 50. Coming up next, the textured lob, light, lively, and easy to love. The myth of long hair equals youth, why it's not always true. I once had a client named Marissa. She was 61, graceful in every way, the kind of woman who always smelled like lavender and wore linen in the summer. She sat in my chair with waist-length hair. It was beautiful in its own way, long, silver-streaked, and clearly well cared for. But it overwhelmed her. It dragged her shoulders down. It framed her face in a way that made her features disappear, instead of shine. She sighed and said, "I've had long hair my whole life. I guess I thought cutting it meant giving up a part of me. And I get that. So many of us were raised to believe that long hair equals femininity. Long hair equals youth. Long hair equals beauty. But here's the truth. It's not the length of your hair that makes you radiant, it's the life in it. Long hair can be stunning at any age, if it has shape, movement, and vitality. But when it gets too long, too heavy, or too flat, it can actually pull your whole face downward. It can emphasize thinning ends, weigh down fine hair, and make you look tired, even when you feel just fine. Marissa told me her goal wasn't to look 30 again, it was to feel like herself again. So we made a gentle change. We took off a few inches, added soft layers through the ends, and gave it a light, airy texture that moved when she did. The result? Her whole face lit up. Her cheekbones reappeared. Her eyes looked brighter. And she said something I'll never forget. "I didn't lose anything. I found something I'd forgotten I had." The lesson here is this. Length doesn't equal youth. Energy does. Lightness does. Movement does. So whether you love your hair long, short, or somewhere in between, the real question is, does your hair move with you? Or does it weigh you down? And that brings us to one of the most elegant, flexible, and flattering options for women who still want some length, but crave a fresh, modern feel. Up next, let's dive into the textured lob, the cut that has quietly become a favorite for women over 50 who want ease, beauty, and effortless style. The right cut for your face shape, not someone else's. A while ago, I had a client named Janine. She came into the salon holding a photo of a celebrity, sleek, sharp bob, edgy and bold. She looked at me and said, "This is the one. This is the cut that's going to change everything." And I smiled, because I've been there. We've all seen that one photo, that friend, actress, or stranger on Pinterest, whose hairstyle makes us say, "Yes, that's it." But here's the thing. That cut looked incredible on her, because it was made for her face. Janine had a softly rounded face, warm eyes, and a delicate chin. The sharp, angular bob she chose? It ended right at her jawline, cutting across the curves of her face and emphasizing width rather than balance. She didn't look bad. But she didn't look like herself. She looked like she was borrowing someone else's story. So I asked her, "What do you love most about your face?" She paused, then said, "My eyes. And my smile, when I remember to use it." I smiled back and said, "Then let's frame those. Let's write a cut that belongs to you." Here's what many women don't realize. The most flattering haircut isn't the trendiest one, it's the one that works with your natural shape, not against it. Oval faces are lucky, they can wear almost anything. Round faces often shine with longer layers that elongate. Square faces soften beautifully with waves or curtain bangs. Heart-shaped faces glow when we balance the wider forehead with volume at the ends. And long faces? They come alive with movement and width around the cheeks. But this isn't about rules. It's about harmony. The right cut should guide the eye upward, toward the features you love most, your eyes, your cheekbones, your smile. It should never pull you down, box you in, or make you feel like you're trying to be someone you're not. With Janine, we softened the bob, lifted the length just above the chin, added gentle layers, and tucked in a few face-framing strands that danced around her cheekbones. She looked at herself in the mirror and said, "Now this feels like me." The lesson here? You don't need to fit into someone else's haircut. The right style fits you. And when it does, it feels like coming home. Now that we've talked about shape, let's talk about something just as powerful, but often overlooked. Not just what color you choose, but where you place it. Up next, we'll look at how the strategic use of color, just a few soft highlights in the right places, can lift your entire face and energy. Because sometimes, it's not about going lighter. It's about letting the light in. How color placement can lift or sink your face. Not long ago, I worked with a woman named Linda. She was 57, warm and witty, with the kind of personality that fills a room. But her hair? It told a quieter story, one of flat, all-over color. A medium brown that hadn't changed in over a decade. She sat in my chair and said, "I want something different, but I don't want to go blonde. I'm not ready for gray either. I just want to look more awake." And that's when I knew, we didn't need to change everything. We just needed to let in a little light. Because here's what most people don't realize. Hair color isn't just about shade, it's about placement. The right highlights, in the right places, can lift your whole face, literally. They can soften lines, brighten your eyes, and create the illusion of movement and glow, even if your hair is fine or straight. But when color is too flat, too dark, or too uniform, it can make your features look sunken, your skin more pale, and your energy, well, a little bit tired. What we did with Linda was simple. We added a few face-framing highlights, soft ribbons of golden beige, just around the temples and cheekbones. A touch of brightness at the crown, and a few hidden lighter strands underneath to give her hair some lift when she moved. And when she looked in the mirror, her whole face lit up. She leaned forward, touched her hair, and whispered, "I don't look different. I just look like I slept really well." It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't trendy. But it worked, because we let her features take center stage, and let the color support her, not compete with her. The lesson here? Color isn't just decoration. It's direction. It guides the eye, frames your features, and shapes how people see you, and how you see yourself. So whether you're going gray, blending grays, or still loving your natural tone, think about where your color lives. A little lightness near the face. A bit of depth at the roots. Softness around the jaw. Warmth where your skin is naturally warm. You don't need a whole new head of hair. Sometimes, a few well-placed highlights can do more than a full dye ever could. And now that we've talked about the power of light, let's talk about something that happens every morning, sometimes without thinking, but might be quietly aging you more than anything else. Coming up next, the small, everyday styling habits that could be doing more harm than good, and what to do instead. 5-minute styling mistakes that are aging you fast. It always starts the same way. You're in a hurry. You glance at the clock, you've got 5 minutes, and your hair, well, it's doing that thing again. So what do? You reach for the same elastic band and pull it into a tight ponytail. Or you grab the teasing comb and give the crown a little boost. Maybe you blast the roots with heat, hoping for some lift. Just something, anything, to look a bit more put together. But here's what no one tells you. These quick fixes, they might be quietly aging you, more than you realize. Take the tight ponytail, for example. It pulls your features back in a way that can seem severe. It emphasizes any loss of volume at the temples and exposes the scalp if your hair is thinning. What's more, the repeated tension can actually cause breakage and hair loss over time. Then there's over-teasing, especially at the crown. It might give you height for an hour, but it also damages the cuticle, roughens the hair texture, and creates that dreaded helmet effect, stiff, outdated, and anything but effortless. And don't even get me started on overusing heat tools without protection. It's one of the fastest ways to dry out aging hair, leaving it frizzy, brittle, and dull, no matter how polished it looks when you walk out the door. Let me tell you about Diana. She's 63, works full-time, and told me she only spends 10 minutes a day on her hair. But every day started with a flat iron, roots to ends, and ended with a high, tight bun. Her hair looked tidy, yes, but also tired. Flat. Lifeless. We made just a few changes. She swapped the bun for a loose, low twist with a soft side part. We used a heat protectant spray, and she learned to do a quick blow dry just at the crown for lift, letting the rest air dry. She still spends 10 minutes, but the result? Light, natural, modern. Like she'd just stepped off a quiet, breezy porch, not out of a battle with her bathroom mirror. The lesson? It's not about doing more. It's about doing smarter. Gentle movement. Light hands. Products that protect instead of punish. Your daily hair routine shouldn't feel like a fight, it should feel like a kind gesture to yourself. Because when your hair flows, lifts, and responds to who you are now, so do you. And now, as we come to the end of this journey, let's bring it all together. Let's talk about what your hair is really saying, and how choosing the right story can help you feel more like yourself than ever before. Your hair, your power, a style that reflects the woman you are now. There's a moment that happens in almost every makeover I've ever done. It's not when the scissors start snipping. It's not when the blow dryer shuts off. It's that quiet moment, right after. When a woman looks at herself, really looks. And there's this flicker of surprise. Then warmth. Then something stronger. It's not just about looking good. It's about recognizing herself again. You see, we often think of hair as superficial. Something you color, cut, manage, maintain. But the truth is, hair is identity. It carries memory, emotion, confidence, even hesitation. We hold on to old styles because they remind us of who we were. A time we felt bold, or beautiful, or loved. And letting go? It can feel like leaving behind a part of ourselves. But here's what I've learned, over and over, from real women like you. The most powerful thing you can do is not to hold on to who you were, but to honor who you've become. Like Elaine, a retired teacher who wore the same sleek bob for 20 years. She said, "It worked then. But now, it feels like I'm dressing up as someone else." We gave her a soft lob with long curtain bangs, just enough change to feel new, but still her. And when she saw herself, she cried. Not because she looked younger, but because she looked present. She said, "I finally feel like I look the way I feel inside." That's the power of a haircut. Not to chase youth, but to step fully into who you are now, with grace, with clarity, with joy. So let me ask you, what story is your hair telling today? Is it honoring who you've grown into? Or is it holding on to a version of you that's long gone? Because here's the truth. You don't need to look younger. You just need to feel aligned. And the right style doesn't change who you are. It reflects it, celebrates it, lifts it up for the world to see. If you felt inspired by what we've talked about today, tell me in the comments. What part of your hairstyle feels ready for a change? Is it the cut? The color? The way you see yourself? And if you know another amazing woman who needs to hear this, send her this video. Share the light. Because we don't just change hair in this space. We change how we show up in the world. And trust me, the best version of you, she's not behind you. She's right here, waiting to be revealed.